I just dreamed that my dog died from eating chocolate. She is very confused as to why I'm cuddling her. r/AskReddit. What is your thank god it was just a dream moment? My dream started with me waking up from coma and discovering that I have been in coma for 8 years. My parents were dead, my brother was dead, my friends weren't there anymore. I was all alone, realizing that I have nobody in my life and that best years of my life have been wasted. This dream was different from my other dreams. This dream felt very real and realistic. Usually I can control my dreams, but I was powerless in this one. The feeling of panic, hopelessness and sadness was so strong that I killed myself, and that is when I woke up. Although I was panicking a little bit afterwards and feeling that this actually happened, I was very relieved that I woke up. For the past 3 weeks, I've been having these nightmares where I'm back in school, all alone, unable to find my classes, failing my classes, missing the bus, and my bullies being much worse. I was bullied a lot when I was in school. I have sworn that I would never go to a brick and mortar school again after I graduated high school. One morning, I woke up, worried that I forgot my science homework. 5 minutes later, I realized I don't go to school anymore. That was a relief. Getting pregnant. I'm terrified of pregnancy and the dream was a nightmare too. I didn't know whose it was, and my family cast me out, and I remember waking up and still not being convinced. I had to keep reminding myself I was fine, but it really shook me up. The second one has to be reoccurring dreams I have where I accidentally eat meat. I'm veggie. It's so heartbreaking, because you feel like ashamed. It's weird to admit, but the feeling I had from the pregnant dream is exactly the same as the feelings I have in the accidentally eat meat dreams. Both having the same residual was it a dream feeling during a bleary-eyed morning. I dreamed my mom and dad and my aunt and uncle decided my cousin David had to die. They told me I had to do it. I got a butcher knife and chased him outside around the house. He tripped and fell, and I stabbed him in the throat. Horrible dream. So happy to wake up, also so confused. David is my favorite. I was arrested for some reason I don't remember, and the officer had just taken me out of the car and was about to walk me into the station. My hands were cuffed behind my back, and he kept roughing me up for no reason, smacking me on the head, stuff like that. It got worse and worse, and I started getting really mad. Eventually I snapped, and with my hand still bound, I charged him. He fell back and hit his head against the station's brick wall. He fell down to the ground and was completely motionless. Immediately I freaked out, oh my god, he's dead. I'm a cop killer. I'm gonna get executed. The panic woke me up, and it wasn't just a feeling of relief, but like that I got away with it. So in real life, my kittens have ringworm, and we put them in quarantine. But it already passed to my dog, my sister, and my mom. For now, me and my dad are safe. In my dream, however, I thought I was safe until I turned my head and saw a huge mushroom growing on my shoulder. Ringworm is a fungus. My parents told me not to cut it off, but I accidentally brushed it off, and it fell into the sink, but it morphed into a weird heart-looking thing, and it started beating like one. Then I woke up, and I'm still pretty sure I'm ringworm free. Dreams during pregnancy are really weird thanks to hormones. In one, my little sister was having another baby. She has 4 instead of me. I woke up super pregnant and confused. In another, my husband paid for an escort. In the dream, I was more angry about the amount he paid than the cheating. Once awake, was mad about both. I had a dream that I told my husband that I just needed a break. I needed some separation to get my head on straight. He used this as the opportunity to say good, because I have been seeing somebody for a while now, and I was waiting for you to make the first move. It crushed me. I was so devastated. I lived the whole thing out to even moving out of the house. I woke up crying, only started to realize it was a dream. Turned over to see him laying there, sound asleep. I bawled my eyes out, so loud that he woke up. He thinks it was mostly just pregnancy hormones. I was preggers at the time, but it was so much more painful to have lived out a scenario like that. I felt like before, I probably took him for granted, but I don't anymore. I used to get this recurring dream of the subway going around endlessly and I couldn't get off, and when I did the tunnels never led to an exit, except they got progressively worse with time from tighter tunnels to longer in dream subway rides. I stopped having them for about a year now, but sometimes just thinking about them and how realistic they were will throw me into a small panic attack. The feeling of relief when I woke up from those was unlike any other lol. I'm way late, but in an inverse of the I dreamed my dog died, but they are still alive. My childhood dog died a year ago after around a 6-month decline. In my dream, she was alive but declining. She couldn't really move around, didn't want to eat, and was losing fur. The narrative was that she's miraculously alive again, like she just showed up on the doorstep instead of she never died in the first place. So we were just desperately trying to keep her alive, not wanting to go through the trauma of watching her die again. When I woke up, I was honestly relieved that she was still dead and didn't have to suffer anymore. This was the strangest dream I've ever had. It's a bit of a long one, and there's a lot of video games in it, so if you're not into that stuff, leave now. So the dream started with me and my friends being the Phantom Thieves from Persona 5, and we were sneaking around a nearby shopping center. Just as we're about to steal the treasure, Sans from Undertale shows up out of nowhere and starts fighting us. We are fighting him, and suddenly he starts laughing and roots, grass, thorns, etc. start growing out of him. So we are very scared at this point and start running away. As we are gonna escape the shopping center, the roots block the way. We look behind us and we see 4 Inklings from Splatoon. They don't say anything, and suddenly our guns, in Persona 5 all characters in your party have guns, change to the ink guns from Splatoon. So we are confused, but we think that we have to go against them in a turf war. So me and my friends are doing this. I get knocked out a window and realize that this shopping center is floating on the sea. I fall into the water while all my friends are screaming my name. Once I hit the water, it all goes black and it feels like I'm genuinely drowning, and I run out of breath and it goes quiet until I see a real close-up of Sans' face. BTW, I should mention in this dream he looked like a real skeleton, not all pixel like in the game. So he was pretty scary, and before I wake up I hear him say, "How about a joke?" I wake up genuinely worried, sweating and pretty confused. It may sound pretty funny, but I almost died about 5 times during the dream. TL. Dr. I fought Sans and Inklings on a giant floating shopping center and ended up drowning. The worst one was a Superman style for the man who has everything dream. In my dream I became an accomplished teacher, rich, and the leader of a Nation American advocacy group. Basically everything I wanted professionally at the time. But throughout the dream, like when I was giving a TV interview, in the background would be my kids, or my at the time girlfriend, but always just in the background and not part of my life. As the dream went on they would appear more often as I started to feel something was off. Finally at some point I think I was accepting an award or something, and I could hear my son crying in the distance, and that's when it clicked for me that something was definitely not right as I started to remember my real life. I had to force myself to reject that reality and eventually woke up. First thing I did was to check for a fucking alien on my chest and then have all my sleeping kids a hug and a kiss while crying. I saw 2 of my best friends die in front of me after a freak accident. One of them shoved a piece of wood shrapnel further into his face because he felt hopeless and finished it off himself. I woke up with tears in my eyes, still sobbing. Texted them immediately in our group thread and was so relieved it was just a dream. Told them how much I love them. I spent so much time with those guys after that until one of them was found dead in a public gym pool 2 months later. The crazy part? He was the same one who finished it off in the dream. Still haunts me, but we loved him and still miss him oh so much. Count your blessings and tell those around you how much you love them. You never know when it could be their last day or yours. My ex was very selfish and manipulative. The last night we were together he cornered me in my garage for 5 hours until I agreed to give him another chance. The next day I blocked him and had my parents bring all of his stuff back to him. For months after the breakup I would have dreams where we would get back together, and every time I would wake up so relieved that it wasn't real. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there everyone.